Here's a full breakdown of how my sports card business did in 2024. Now, to say 2024 was huge would be an understatement. Obviously, we're going to talk all the numbers, but the big picture is that I was able to quit my full-time job to sell sports cards. I've got a whole slideshow built out that's going to show you guys all the numbers, so let's hop on over to it. So, Clever Cuban Cards 2024 review. And we're going to start off with our monthly expenses. This is basically all the things that I spent money on. I'm going to have a breakdown of all of those categories for you guys in a second as well. But this is just the big picture. How much we've spent on all the things that it took to run Clever Cuban Cards each month. I started selling and whatnot in the month of February. So this $8,000 in January was more what I think the typical month was for me back when I was just doing it as kind of the side hustle. I was still doing it as a side hustle from February all the way up through August, but I was trying to treat it like a full-time job to really see and test its viability. The clearest thing to me here looking at these monthly expenses, though, is the change that happened when I really went full-time in September, seeing that jump at consistently every single month over $25,000 in expenses. All in all, for the year, though, we spent a total of $224,262 on the year. Now, let's see where that money was actually spent. And that, as you can see, the most of that was actually spent on Whatnot inventory. That Whatnot inventory it makes sense. You need cards, you got to sell cards. You can't do anything in a sports card business if you don't have sports cards. So spent most of our money, more than half of our expenses on Whatnot inventory. Our next largest expense was payroll. Now, this payroll, this is when I started to pay myself. This number is also inclusive of some of the taxes once I was able to get myself as a W-2 employee. This little number here on that taxes was when I have paid myself not as a W-2 employee. So there's a little bit of a gap in terms of getting myself as the business registered in the way that I needed it to. But this number is not what I netted. This is what everything came out of the business. That's my net in terms of me getting paid. That's what I pay as an individual to the government in terms of taxes. And then as a business, you also pay towards those taxes. So that was our second biggest expense. We spent $13,000 on grading in 2024, which is crazy. I'm sure we're going to be doing even more than that in 2025. Cards, this was a different, and you're probably looking at it and saying, wait a minute, cards versus Whatnot inventory, aren't those the same thing? That was back when I was doing more individual high-end cards. So that was the shift in the business for those, and I'm buying cards to specifically sell individually versus kind of on the Whatnot streams, big things like that. That's a category that will probably go away in 2025, but the business shifted halfway through a couple months into the year, so that's why that's still there. Spent $11,000 on boxes, spent over $7,500 on content, so lots of fun stuff. Card show, again, that was expenses before the business really took off, and all that was really just going into Whatnot inventory. So that's a picture of our expenses. Now let's check out our revenue. Now, I was really interested to see that March was actually our biggest month in terms of sales. I expected it to be November. We did our mystery boxes. We did a big Black Friday sale. I thought that would be really big, but March was the biggest month of revenue. That was my first full month doing Whatnot, so really kind of sending it, doing a lot of stuff. We had a big card show here in Nashville as well. At that point, I was still setting up at the card show. So kind of tracks a little bit in terms of I did a lot of sales there, but really was intrigued to see that. Now, as you can see, some of this revenue, especially in the month of September, was not as high as our expenses was. Sometimes that happens as a business. You got to spend money to make money. September was an expensive month, but October, November, and December we were more profitable than we had spent, basically. So monthly revenue, interesting here. Let's look at where those sources of revenue were. Now, unsurprisingly, well, actually, first, our total revenue for the year was $289,931. But those categories, again, unsurprisingly, Whatnot. Now, from a business perspective, it is not ideal to have all of your eggs in kind of one basket in terms of the platform of Whatnot. One thing that I will say is that given my success in terms of jumping onto Whatnot and being able to find success and get viewers and all this and that right away, it does give me confidence in me and my brand that I can go to a different app and a different, revenue stream if I needed to. But at the end of the day, right now, Whatnot is working really well for us. We'll take it. We will absolutely look at, you can't complain with $236,000. You will see later a different number. It's in like the $260,000 range because the $236 is what I actually brought in from Whatnot. That's post fees. This is the actual number of dollars that came into my business bank account. We have money from TikTok, eBay sales, Discord sales. Again, those Discord sales were more so when I was doing individual cards and not the live streams. Our website did pretty well. That was from selling our card consultations as well as the Excel sheet tracker that we do. So Instagram sales, my card posts, cash back from credit cards. Hey, get profit, you can get money wherever you can. Affiliate links were obviously very helpful. Partnerships, very, very good. Card shows, and then adjustments is basically just, as I went through the year, minor accounting adjustments that had to be made in terms of extra money that was in my bank account that I didn't account for, probably missed a sale here or there. But those are our revenue categories. Let's talk about Whatnot though, because as I said, Whatnot is by far the biggest portion of my business. Here's a picture as to where we ended the year. It was a couple of days late, so I had one stream. So in all reality, we sold about 18,200 cards on the year. Less than a day shipping. I always guarantee that cards are going to be out the next day. That's one of my promises that I want to make to my customers. I know that you're buying those cards and you want to get them, whether it's your collection, whether you're trying to flip them. Time is money in the hobby, and things can change very, very quickly. So I do my best to get things out as quickly as possible. Very, very proud to have that 5-star rating, over 3,000 reviews. With those 18,200 cards sold, though, we had a total of 7,013 packages that we shipped out in the year of 2024. It's crazy. Figuring out that shipping process was definitely a lot. Had some ups and downs, but I think we've got it down to a pretty good system now. I've made a video on that, so it's good. It's a lot of packages, and I anticipate that this number is going to be much bigger in 2025. Our average order, though, was $14.39. And this just goes to show that while the numbers are very, very high, the actual cards that I'm selling are nothing crazy generally. And this number is inclusive of all the slabs that I sell. 10% of the cards that I sell are slabs, and probably slightly more than that because we have some special streams where we do more slabs. We have buy it nows, things like that. But in all reality, our regular raw card is probably selling for $67 on average if I had to guess. So average card just in general though, $14. So while it is a very, very big number, seeing that $200-something thousand in sales, it's a volume game for me at this point. It is not a game of individual super, super high-end cards. I'm just trying to sell a lot of smaller individual cards, and that number absolutely does add up. Now let's look at Whatnot. Our very first stream was on February 15th. We did $876 in revenue. As you can see here on the top right, our sales metrics for the year, we did $261,915.50. Our max concurrent, 286 viewers, which is crazy, but really cool. It's funny. I remember doing my first stream and thinking, oh my God, I did $876 in sales. This is crazy. And then on June 2nd, we had our largest stream of the year. It was almost beaten by a few other streams, as you can kind of see that over here kind of later in the year, but our biggest stream was the Whatnot Card Show 4, I think it was, where we did about $11,000 in total sales in one day, which was amazing, incredible, you name it. It's really helpful going into the national, being able to have some money to go and do those things and being able to enjoy that. So really, really cool to look back on the year, kind of see some ups and downs. I love seeing here, though, second half of the year, a lot more consistency in terms of the things that we're doing. You can kind of see the blue is basically live stream and the purple is marketplace orders. So we mostly blue, we mostly do live stream stuff, but love seeing that this line is more consistent. It means that I'm finding my groove. Now, 2024 profits. What you're here for. How much did we make? So we started the year with $8,854 in our sports card business bank account. Now, as you saw, we did our expenses total out to $224,262. Our revenue was $289,931, which means that our total profit for the year was $65,669.01. Super, super proud of this. Over the course of, the 12 months, it's basically, you're doing very, very well for yourself there. Very, very happy that this money is all staying in the business as well. I'm not pulling this out to pay myself, do a big, I have payroll. You guys saw that. That is an expense of running the business. This is the pure profit of the business. We were greatly helped. I do not anticipate that our profit next year will be anywhere near this big because I spent 6 months where I was doing cards and paying myself, setting money aside, and not really doing anything with it. Now that money that I'm paying myself is actually going to me to pay my bills. So this profit is staying in the business. This is going to allow us to buy bigger collections. This is going to allow us to travel to card shows. This is going to allow us to hopefully one day grow and expand the business. Talking about bringing on an employee in 2025, wanting to, maybe one day open a card store. All those types of things require capital. And one of the things that I'm very, very proud of is that I'm not having to take out loans. I'm not having to take out, solicit investors, things like that. I'm able to fund my business myself because of the work that I put in by kind of double dipping, having a full-time job for a while also doing cards. So this total profit is awesome to see. One other slight asterisk here is that you got to remember taxes. And taxes are a lot of fun. I'm not an accountant. I have an accountant who helps me with all of my taxes, but basically, given that I am set up as a S corp and I am going to be taxed like that, I pay myself as a W-2 employee, so my payroll is being taxed when it's being taken out. If you are doing this as a sole proprietor, you're going to have to pay your income tax as well as your self-employment tax, which is like 15.3%, I think. For me, these profits are just going to be taxed at that income tax, I believe. You guys can correct me if you're an accountant in the comments, but given that I'm anticipating that our tax bracket this year is going to be about a 24% tax rate, that means that we're going to also owe about $16,000 in taxes. So we're going to see that total number of business dollars go down, but then it's also just pure money that we can do whatever we want with. We don't have to worry about paying taxes on that later. So overall, really, really proud of what we did in 2024, and I'm really excited about what's to come in 2025. There's going to be some very, very big things, big changes that happened to Clever Cuban Cards in 2025, and truly this is just the beginning. I am so just in disbelief of the fact that we were able to do this as the full-time gig. If you had told me 3-4 years ago when I started making content that I would be not only making this video and saying, hey, we made over $60,000 in profit this year, but that this is my full-time job, that I get to make content and play with baseball cards all day, basically, I would have told you we're absolutely crazy. It is a dream. I can't thank you guys enough because truly I can't do it without your support, both in terms of the content and obviously in terms of all the support that I've gotten on Whatnot and doing card sales and at card shows and all this and that. So I want to thank you. Really, really excited for what's to come in 2025. We've got a ton of great content coming through. Curious to see what changes come. Obviously, potentially TikTok. We'll see what happens there. Making more YouTube content, trying to do that, trying to do more on Instagram, but it's going to be really, really fun. Really excited to see what 2025 has to hold, and I'm glad you guys are here for it. So appreciate all you guys that are checking out the videos, doing this, still here at the end. If you're not already, like it, subscribe it, comment it. It really, really helps. I appreciate you guys checking it out. We will catch you in the next one. I hope you guys all had a good holiday and a happy new year.